Yeah, I do think their wave clear is a little weak, but they can force fights really easily. So I think that
Hmm.
if the Zoomers can it's a really kind of difficult strategy to pull off in a lot of ways. But if they can push but not commit to fights, right? You just go up to a tower, you start whacking on it, make everyone come there, and then back out before you get dove on by their spirit, or have really good positioning, you can pull that off. But it is hard to have that kind of discipline. It requires a team that really understands their positioning, like where they're gonna get wrapped on from. So it'll be interesting to see how this one goes, though. I think we'll have a little clarity here in a moment after they pick this next year of where this visage might be, but it's likely going to be some. They want I don't know. I was expecting more of another a Beastmaster and a pushing hero, but I guess they have a different idea.
Yeah, I
Um,
was gonna say Beastmaster Lycan would have been the double down, but I think with the Undying pickup though, with the Enchantress already picked up on their team, this is probably just gonna be a Moo Undying with a 4 Snapfire, and then this is gonna be a Gunner Visage, but I don't know. I don't know, man. This is weird. Of course, I think Envy also plays Visage, so they could swap it around between him and Gunner depending on the lane matchup. But with this Undying pickup, you also killed any chance of you having a good initiation here, and you're looking for that setup hero to pair with the Snapfire. So, four Zoomers are definitely banking on kind of the residual strength from their heroes. Aside from that, though, there's not really that same synergy that I think D2 Hustlers have very easily been able to draft for themselves.
yeah, they've got stuff right now that, at least on an individual level, you can sort of
I'm
see
dead.
maybe some of the
I'm
appeal
dead.
to, but you compare ET, as you were saying, their entire sort of lineup and team fight compared to what they're going to be fighting into. I mean, you've got durability, you've got mobility, you've got the ABBA there to sort of bail anybody out, so I don't know. For four Zoomers, this last pick is going to have to be a good one. It's going to have to somehow tie all of this together because they're still kind of lacking. They don't really have great initiation. Their damage might be questionable depending on where the Visage ends up position-wise, so I mean, maybe they know
I
something
do
we don't.
feel like this is basically a kind of redraft with different heroes of the first game, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh.
I feel like if the lanes go really poorly for Zoomers, their draft could, unless we see some hero that really does just make way more sense for the late game, is going to fall apart as the game kind of goes. And as long as the hustlers don't feed out of control, which I think they should be able to, Zoomers don't have great pick off either. So if they just split push the map, shove lanes out, pick some carry that can actually farm aggressively, like a life sword, but maybe not that one for this game. Um, push lanes out. They just avoid fights, and I don't know exactly what the Zoomers' win condition is right now, besides bullying the towers down. But it's going to be hard to do that into Titan or Spirit.
Mhm. I
Bands there in the
really don't
final
know.
phase.
The only thing I can imagine is with the Visage and Dying picked up in the second phase, it is going to be hard for Mr. Jeans to single out a lot of these heroes. If it's just the Storm jumping on them, they get soul ripped. You have the single target Orchid, so the birds are definitely going to make it harder for you to stick on a lot of these targets. But aside from that, again, it just feels a little bit strange from them. And again, I think that's where the carry matchup, of course, we still need to wait for the carries to be picked up by these players. You need to see something aggressive coming out from Envy. If he is forced into that same farming position that he was in the previous game, his S list has been taken out. They've taken out a bunch of those heroes as well, where the 1v9 is not really on the table as it was in the previous game. And Yuma
Hmm.
Magnus is also pretty scary to play against, so I don't know. I feel like D2 House's got everything they want. These are all of their comfort heroes.
Absolutely, and I think Magnus is actually perfect for this game because if you have Ravage and RP, that kind of shores up the biggest weakness that was in their draft. That if they did start getting pushed on by Zoomers and they used a Ravage and the fight went poorly, they wouldn't have a way to fight until that's back up. But if they can cycle all their big ults and play around that, Zoomers kind of have to be a little afraid of pushing now. So that means their draft just needs to spend more time farming. And I think just looking at the fact of the comfort heroes that people are on and the current scaling just favors hustlers a lot.
Medusa?
Spectre.
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 So they did need something like that. I think that
Yeah.
it's pretty good, but also doesn't have especially in the early game, doesn't have a ton of impact, I think, because it doesn't really hurt any of their heroes much. You're gonna hunt and it's Abaddon or Spirit Storm zipping around. You're not gonna have a ton of impact super early, but that hero will be very obnoxious as the game goes later and later, and will actually be something that can allow Zoomers to win late game, which they really could not without a hero like that.
Well, with the Spectre picked up, that pushes the Visage into Gunner's hands in the middle lane, and I'm just still just not entirely sure what we're going to see from Gunnar here in terms of how durable can he really be, and how much damage can he do into a lineup that is very durable, very mobile, and has save potential to work with. So, I mean, Zoomers obviously feel like it's going to work out for them. They've got some sort of ace up their sleeve with the Visage. They wouldn't have picked it in Game 3 of an elimination series if they didn't, but it's a pretty sizable question mark going into the game itself.
Yeah, and if anything, Visage is going to be very good at pursuing Mr. Jeans early on. If Mr. Jeans gets into a fight where he's suddenly forced to walk out of it, I think Visage is one of the better heroes at that, as well as playing to that same degree with the Spectre, where if Mr. Jeans is caught without his mana, he is going to be jumped on by 2 or 3 heroes pretty quickly. Aside from that, though, I think really D2 Hustlers have a really easy time setting up and getting aggressive across the map. This Visage is really going to be the most important hero for them early on. I think if Gunnar doesn't get off to a good start, we really are going to see him kind of just go for the farming route, and that's exactly what Envy wants to do as well. I really think they're just severely lacking that setup, especially if these lanes don't go very well. And you're already basically drawing your safe lane, right? You picked Spectre Enchantress versus Tidehunter, so I think Monster should have a very free time again.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the Hustlers maintain good vision, I don't think that Zoomers have like an easy path to ganking anyone. You look at their heroes and you're just like, how do they kill a storm? Or like they literally have one stun,
Yeah.
and it's a projectile stun that you can dodge pretty easily, like not super easily, but yeah. And then they don't really have the damage to kill anyone in that one stun. And most of those heroes have like an out. You know, like Tidehunter has is Kraken, Zip, Skewer, like Blink Slater. So even as the game goes later and later, just the fact that like Hustlers have this way to really push lanes out, although they are setting up on Devi here. He might be dead. Actually,
No
I think,
stuns.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like in any other world, you walk into 5 heroes. He didn't even use a spell.
Yeah,
used
no,
skill
he
up.
didn't. He
Now
didn't
they might
roll,
walk
he didn't
into a
pick.
fight themselves. The Gush goes down onto Moo, and this is
I
getting...
don't
really
know if you want to
powerful.
do this.
Oh,
Like, you
yeah.
know where they're at. They are. So this is kind of like a good preface for the rest of the game, right? You're like, this is what most fights are going to look like. As long as they're not pressuring towers, like Hustlers should be fine with this because they can kind of just poke at them, and it's hard for them to commit because they have a lot of damage if you go in, right? You have Decay, Rip, like you were talking about, Soul Assumption, Enchantress has heals. Like, it is hard to commit, but if they never commit, they're also never going to die, and if they scale, they should win. So that
Yeah.
should be kind of how Hustlers are thinking about this game.
Yeah, it's like the only way they kill Mr. Jeans is if he overcommits and he's out of mana. The fight can never start on him unless we might see an Orchid early coming out from Gunnar, but yeah, Moo did just chase him down, but we got to see a lot coming from 4-0s in lanes. If they lose any momentum, I think Hustlers are just going to be satisfied getting all of the farm in the world on their heroes, as well as Safe Lane Magnus farms so much faster than Spectre naturally. I wonder if we're going to see Envy go for the Ags build that a lot of Spectres go for just to keep the good fight going, or it kind of feels like he has to go for that farm-oriented build. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I think if he doesn't go farm build, they just won't be able to force fights, so they still won't have lockdown if he can get there, right? He'll come in and be like, hey guys, and then he'll see the fight's not going down because everyone's just running away from the 0 stuns, and he's going to go back to farming.
Yeah.
So he'll
Yeah.
probably go really farm heavy this game, but I think that you're right. Yuma's going to have a pretty good game, I believe, and he's going to be able to scale very quickly, and if he gets that big lead, I've seen him have a lot of impact. He plays aggressively. That's why he likes the players like Monkey King, Mag, you know, heroes, Gyrocopter, even heroes that can just go on the map and do stuff while they're farming aggressively. And that's a very powerful thing to have because it shuts down Zoomer's farm even more. Like, they're already not going to have great split push, and they're going to have a hard time getting lanes out, and then they're also afraid of dying to the Storm and this Mag and this Earth Spirit, and they're just going to have nowhere to farm.
See Yuma down in his bottom lane, actually even throwing the Empower out there once onto the Abba. I'm not sure if that was... I mean, I'm assuming it was intentional, so the Abaddon's just going to push forward, be a little bit obnoxious, and Yuma, he doesn't really care too much. If an opportunity presents itself, he has a point now in the Skewer, but it's just all going to be about getting his farm here, and he knows Moo and Z-Freak, until maybe significantly further on, and definitely need to have that point up in the Cookie Stun first, 4-Zoomers can't really do anything to him right now. Top lane, though, Envy getting pressured up a little bit. Monster and Devi trying to get in onto that Spectre early, and I mean, that's a nice bit of damage. Husky was there with the set. Okay, goodbye, Salve. So Envy didn't get much of that duration. He's still in a bit of an awkward spot, but he does still have the stick charges here, so realistically speaking, I think he'd be okay. if Monster and Devi try this again, but Devi right now is just being annoying. He's going to pull the creep wave back, and Husky, he can slow this, but I don't really know that he can stop it. He's just going to try and do as much damage as he can before Devi gets away.
The biggest problem I think for Zoomers is unless this Visage is really a lot stronger than I'm expecting it to be, I don't know how they break down a lot of these early objectives because they are such low damage heroes. I think they're really playing around the idea that this Undying is going to set people at low HP pools. He's going to make it a little bit easier for your burst damage to be felt, but aside from that, unless Visage birds have vastly changed, I don't think that push is really as strong as it has been in the past. So I don't know. They got to be really clean around those cart rotations. Otherwise, I think the game is going to slow so heavily down for them. Oh, bottom.
Oh, yeah. The skewer.
The skewer, the cookie. Oh, no.
Still tanking the tower, though.
Yeah,
But they don't have a lot of chase.
They're going to take down the tombstone first, so they will get that gold in their pocket and move back away in time. He did need to be a little bit careful. If he stuck around, that shockwave could have maybe still clipped him, but level 1 shockwave wouldn't have been enough damage for the kill, and I mean, Mu lives, there's the good news, but Yuma was able to clean up the tombstone, and 125 gold right now is still going to be a little boost up for him as Devi just denied himself.
They've also got the salve for Yuma bottom, so like he's not really worried about his HP, and they forced me to walk back to base. Like he just picked up this ring, but because he was at like no health, he's just like, well, guess this is my life. So I mean, Z-Freak's soaking the farm into experience, which is good, but it's just giving Yuma this big advantage because Yodomi is now giving him the solo lane, and he's like getting this. They're compounding their experience on their carry, which obviously is a mag. Really good, because then if he just gets out of there and goes in the jungle, he's going to be, you know, a level or two up on everyone else, and if you see that later, that's because of why.
Yuma was apparently dealing with a little bit of lag. They're going to give it a go, or at least Yuma said to, but not gotten the clear from the 4 Zoomers side as well. So pause is going to go on for just a little bit longer, and yeah, Mu, at this point he's got the TP, so he should be returning to the lane pretty quickly. Actually, he picked up some items from his 4Z Freak trying to get the soul ring, so if you're forced into this play to go all the way back to base, you might as well just sort of act as the courier. That's something we normally see the support doing when they die, but it goes both ways. So Mu's back in lane, he's going to get Z-Freak a couple of items here, and they can continue trying to do what they can against Yuma, but the mag is just farming faster than anybody. He's at the top of the last hit chart right now.
The Undying does definitely pose some threat now that he's come back, though, which is nice, but they're actually, Z-Freak's getting a little out there. Yuma might have been able to skewer him and kill him, but he wanted to wait for his boots before he wasted his mana, so that was fair. Just back to farming, he's got his shreds, but Undying is certainly bullying him.
Yeah, this is gonna happen though. I think if you look at Mu's quick buy, I think he's going for the Meteor Hammer. I feel like that's the only thing you build this up into, which
it makes a lot more sense this game, to be fair.
Yeah,
like
it
I'm
makes
on
way
board
more sense.
100%. I like it. I think that that will help push for Zoomers over the edge. Oh,
that was a sick pullout, but yeah.
I don't think he
canceled
wanted to bring him in.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Oh.
Right, lagging all over.
Damn. Yeah, still having some issues there, but at least Yuma was able to get himself away from whatever that was, honestly. But not really seeing a whole lot in the way of immediate aggression. That first kill went for Zoomer's way right at the start in the river, but for the most part, these lanes have been honestly pretty stable for them. And well, how's Gunnar doing mid right now? This Visage still not entirely sure how it's going to play out, but he's not on top of Mr. Jeans, but he's doing okay.
Yeah. Mr. Jeans just gets the farm. Like, there's absolutely nothing Gunnar can do until he's level 6. The only problem is what you have to go for this item build, right? You have to get the medallion. You can't get Helm of the Dominator anymore. I guess you could go back for it after, but I don't know. I'm surprised Gunnar's going for this item instead of going for something like the Orchid Rush or some other items that we've seen Visages go for, because I feel like this timing isn't going to be very strong. And it's not like you can easily go into the pit either with your carry, so that early Roche isn't going to be up there as well.
Orchid would have been really interesting. I honestly, if I had to guess, he might have gone it if there wasn't an Abaddon in the game. I think that makes that item way too much of an investment. Mr. Jeans is definitely out farming though, and I mean that hero is going to scale really hard, right? We saw last game, like he had this crazy strong impact early mid game, and then he kind of started falling off. I don't think he'll have the same issue this game though, because there's not very many stuns. So he
Yeah.
can probably even skip BKB this game, especially if there's no orchid. So, I mean, if Storm can do that, like he can be such a powerful hero.
Yeah.
They
It's
spot
where
the
the
Z-Freak.
birds. Yeah, they do see him.
Okay, I thought they were just going to sort of push him away, but Devi rolled across the river, and Mr. Jeans at that point doesn't really want to chase after it, so they let it go, but Z-Freak makes the attempt, not really going to get there, and now Yodomi doing a little bit of scouting. He is going to see the stacked camps here, and, well, if you could bring over someone like the Mag or the Tide to sort of steal this away, that would be pretty big, but Gunner's sending the birds in. He wants to defend it, gets the stuns down, but they don't really have the damage to threaten this. They're just trying to get him away from these camps.
Just trying to stack. Just get out of my jungle, please. I'm just trying to pull the camps and just kind of body them out. He didn't get the hard camp stack because of that, though, so some value there. But we'll see if they try to contest it. It is a little early, I think. Yuma might do it later if they they can leave them there for a while. Monster being dove. Yeah, he's definitely gone.
Mr. Jeans is going to try to get some sort of revenge kill, though, onto Husky, but mana's running low. He does have a regen rune, though, so if he really did want to do this, should be able to lock it down. Husky's just going to try and dance around the trees, though, and buy some time, and well, he is doing that. The regen does now have to come out, and Husky should die. Should die. Regen actually got canceled, so Husky... No, okay. He will get him, but that's a lot of time that you buy.
Yeah,
Mr. Jeans had to use it.
Though.
Okay, yeah.
That helped a lot, because that cancel on the regen was like really good, because if he doesn't cancel that regen there, that's such a good situation for Mr. Jeans. He'll like kill him, he'll have full mana, he'll be able to like zip over, like farm, you know, the jungle, get the bounty rune. Slowed him down a bit, but the bottle refill for Monster actually helps a lot.
Now it's Devi's turn to wander over towards these stacks, but Moo dropped the tombstone down so he and Gunner could take it, and yeah, Devi can't really do a lot. So he rolls away, and
Clean.
I mean, they got pretty much all of it. The medallion's finished off, so it's not really going to get the Visage to the same position as someone like Yuma, for instance, but nobody is going to match Yuma right now, so just get that Visage as powered up as possible. But now Devi's going to roll forward. They've caught out Z-Freak, but the Skewer won't connect. That's a nice cookie play to get away from it, and with Yuma skewering back, he's not there to continue dishing the damage, and Z-Freak walks away.
This is a good try to defend the ward. They should also recognize there is a ward on them there, because like there's no reason for that Snapfire to walk down into the river and start spinning in circles like at the lower ground while you're farming the camp, unless there's a ward there. Obviously they don't know exactly where it is, but they should know there's a ward.
8 minutes? Okay. Being annoying. There you go. Birds on both runes. It is impossible for Storm to actually guarantee that unless he ends up vortexing in one of them, but I don't know. I still am wondering how this Visage is actually going to make his break on the map. I think he's content with farming for now, but that's where I feel like the plays do need to start coming in from bottom, especially because Moo does have this Meteor Hammer now, so he's going to start breaking into that jungle just that little bit sooner, but he actually can't channel it versus the Mag. If he just sits there, he's going to get skewered under tower, so big fight. A little bit awkward, though.
Yeah, Cookie and Tumbler there still doesn't quite get him into position, so now you
Here's
just...
the collapse, though.
And just casually used Flesh Golem. He does still have the Tombstone. He will throw it down now, and Yodomi, he's going to get hit up. There's no borrowed time, so if he drops, he is going to be taken down. They at least get the Tombstone first, and now there's the Ravage connecting onto 3, the zip in into the RP as well. And they are going to be able to sort of take these heroes down. Not yet. Moo's still fighting. Mr. Jeans is the one to fall. And now Envy, he haunts in. They're going to completely turn this fight around. Yuma is dead. Monster has nothing left to fight with the Ravage down. And he has really no backup other than a tier 1 tower that cannot save him. Now Devi, he's just got to roll away. That goes pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think conceptually that was just a bad play. You know, that's stuff that you don't really talk about so after the game usually, but you got to be able to recognize it. And, you know, they're kind of like we talked about at the beginning. There's no stuns, really. Like, they're only going to die if they overcommit in force fights. They knew there was Han up. Like, they knew he could be there because, you know, he's just farming the jungle waiting and hadn't used it yet. So, like, why did they kind of force that fight against Undying in the first place? Like, that hero doesn't really farm that quickly. Yeah, he'll kill the tower fast with the hammer, and you do need to defend the next tower, but they could have just farmed, like, shoved both lanes out and done a bunch of damage to both towers on the other side of the map, and then just, like, come down and defended the bottom tower later, and probably trade even if they really get to that point, because if they're set up, they would destroy them in a fight.
They were so certain they were going to be able to kill Mu off before that decay too, but then you
Yep.
get the 4-man decay, and then suddenly everything is just terrible for you. I don't know. It really felt like they overestimated their damage, and maybe if Devi has a few more levels naturally, Devi hasn't really been able to make those rotations. If there's one thing that's a little bit unfortunate about this Earth Spirit playing into the 4 Zoomers lineup, it's really hard to gank anyone.
Yeah.
It's really not an easy play for him to do. So that's where he's definitely suffered a little bit. And I think maybe that's where there's that slight disconnect. I think also Yuma got greedy there. He went for the skewer. He instead of just beating up the Undying there after the Ravage was committed, he skewers for the 2-man RP. And I
Yeah.
think sure you kill Husky, but you also stop all of the damage and you force Mr. Jeans to use at least another 200 or 300 mana.
Oh, absolutely. They easily could have killed an Undying if they just hard committed on him, but they got greedy and wanted to chase. And it's like, they have Haunt up. It's an Undying. Like, just take your free kill and your tower defense and then go back to farming. Because that's what you went down there doing in the first place. Because we already know that they're just going to keep scaling harder if they get the right kind of momentum. But that was obviously not the right kind of momentum. E is going for the Ags, by the way. So he's going to jump around and fighting. They're giving Devi a mid now because he needs this level 6 so badly. Like you were saying, he's very underleveled, and I think that's one of the critical issues of this game. He probably should have just been like making stacks for Mag earlier and like taking empty lanes more, and just like buying boots instead of Urn. Because you just like you said, you're not really killing people this game until you have like some big items.
Smoke up though. They're looking for someone. Probably the stacks.
Into the river. Mr. Jeans though, I think he's gonna zip right into the middle of it. Now he's got to clear out, and he will be able to do so. And honestly, that breaks up that smoke. Now, if you're 4 Zoomers, do you keep going? Looks like the answer is yes. Mu just wants to push in. They know Yuma not on the highest amount of health there, so they are going to try and force this. But now Mr. Jeans zips in. He's looking for the quick pick onto Gunner. That's not quick at all. And now he's out of mana, and now he's out of life. What?
That's just like a, I don't know. I don't know if that's a choke play, but that was game ruining because that was such a good engagement for D2 Hustlers until he decided to do that. That was just trying to outplay or be too cocky, but I don't even know if he kills Gunner if he hits every spell there.
Yeah. And now, oh no.
Monster.
They're forced to commit here.
Yeah, he's in. They've got to take the tombstone down, but that play, that was just so weird because it was perfect from them initially. Yuma gets away, everybody clears out, Flesh Golem got deployed for no fight, but then I don't know. Storm's just trying to do a little bit too much there, going for the home run. Instead, he's not really able to commit everything, and he gets taken down pretty easily. But he's back up. He's got the Orchid online, so a momentary lapse in judgment. We'll see if he can actually find anything. But outside of maybe the supports, who so far have been doing a pretty decent job of sort of staying together, who is that target for the Storm who he can just jump in on in a 1v1?
Yeah, I think this is one of those cases of like just going through the routine because I don't even know if Orchid's good this game. Like, what does it do to their heroes?
I think you just go for the Kaya Sanj, and then you have a much simpler build-up, and then, I don't know, maybe you look for some bigger items, even if you just rush for the Bloodstone.
I think you do. I think you just go Arcanes, rush the Kaya like Bloodstone build, because I don't know if it's like super meta right now, but like it's so much better because it lets you farm so aggressively, and then you're not going to die if you don't waste your mana. Because like you said, you can't gank really this game easily, so you're better off just hard farming and just pushing out the aggressive lane.
Ooh, Devi's got to kick him and roll.
Oh, yeah, he seems gone.
Yeah.
Why? Just rolling forward there. His teammates were not really in a position to help. They wanted the tower instead, and now you lose Devi and you don't get the tower. You've got to fall back and maybe mount a defense of your own tier 1, which is exactly why Monster is where he is. But now Mr. Jeans, every time I see him zip into that spot now, you get a little concerned.
Yeah, he can get carried away obviously sometimes. Oh, we got the Seer combo. Okay. That's pretty strong.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
nice.
He's dead. This time they're like, guys, let's kill this guy. That should turn into a tower though. I mean, because that's the thing, they need that hero so badly to team fight right now, right? Unless he buys back, which okay.
Interesting choice, but yeah.
Jumped in, they've got the Spectre, the silence is there, the stun comes out too, and okay. Envy gets taken down. Now they're on to Zefreak, who had spent that entire fight channeling out the kisses. He was trying to sort of clear out mid, but that meant he wasn't in a position to defend the Spectre when it got jumped in on. So now, that is fantastic. They get a quick pick off onto the Spectre, and they should still get this tower.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't be farming there, when they're that close to your mid lane. It's just too dangerous, especially with the Storm mobility. So I think that he just had to move a little deeper if he wanted to farm up that side, but it's easy to want to just farm the closest thing. But if they drop like that ward they dropped on that hill is like not uncommon, even though it was already up, right? Like they could have just walked up and dropped that while they're hitting it, and then they see you just sitting there hitting creeps, like, well, I'll kill that guy first, I guess.
Yeah, they did get the alternate objective. It kind of almost devalues what Z-Freak did there, trying to push up the wave. So it's really weird disconnect. And Moo's got to be careful. Yeah.
They'll
Okay.
silence him up. The Ravage is deployed, connecting onto 4. Gunner is TPing in. He will get here, but not
Perfect.
before Moo falls. And now Mr. Jeans, okay, he's going to try and zip back here, but Envy's into the fight, so they need to try and do something. They're jumping onto Monster, but he's absorbing so much of that damage. Now Yuma in with the RP. They hit onto the Spectre, but Yuma didn't have the skewer, so there's no actual pullback there. And I mean, it was a nice play. It's just not going to matter too much. Now Envy wants in with the Haunt. They're trying to bring Yuma down, but the Aphotic Shield is going to save him. But that means Monster is now in the line of fire again, but just like the last time, he's absorbing a lot of this damage. This time, though, they will be able to finish him off. What a weird series of events there. D2 Hustlers get out the first time, turn around with no skewer, then run again, and Envy tracks him down with the Haunt.
If I had to bet there, I think he just didn't realize he didn't have skewer up. And I think he also thought he was going to hit more people. It was kind of just a blind, like, oh, they're chasing, you know, blink and RP skewer them out. And then he's like, oh, wait, I don't have skewer. You'd be surprised at how often that happens in some of these games. Like, players definitely get caught up in the moment and just completely, like, mind glaze over the fact some of their spells are on cooldown.
Yeah. And to that same degree, I think Moo not rushing to get that tombstone down. I think if Moo drops the tomb there, that fight looks really bad for D2 Hustlers.
Yeah.
But instead, I think he wanted to save it as long as possible because they were just going to look to immediately disengage as soon as that Ravage was used by Monster. But then you definitely have to work a little bit harder for those kills than I think they were really ready for. At least there is the Ags going to be completed on the Spectre soon here, and synced up pretty nicely with the Gunner's Ags as well. But that's where I think 4 Zoomers are still going to have to try really hard for these pickoffs, because you've bought 2 Ags now that are entirely focused on getting pickoffs in the side lanes, but you're still lacking that setup hero, so I think that setup's going to need to come from the Visage, and Visage is not really good at that. Monster is taking a lot of damage, though. They should
Pushed
walk
into
it
the
off.
middle, but they're waiting.
definitely
Yuma
gotta
has the
back off.
blink.
Yeah, you just like lost your ward. They killed your ward off. They have ward vision and a tombstone. You are actually just going a little too hard if you walk back into that.
Bit of a reset, but 4 Zoomers aren't leaving. They're still sticking around. Devi. Okay, he takes out the Sentry, but look at the roll. Okay, just getting himself out of there. That cookie stun is not going to really do it. Moo, though.
No instant stuns, yeah.
Look at Envy.
At least he's able to get that, but now, yeah, Envy's getting jumped in on. The silence is there for Mr. Jeans, but does he have enough damage? Not by himself, but his team's coming. Okay, that RP did not need to happen.
It was pretty close. I mean, because he was going to try to haunt it or like do his little shadow step out, but I do think that for that situation, with how the game has been paced, I think you can justify it. Obviously, he probably, in hindsight, doesn't, but it's really hard to tell those things in this situation usually.
But if Envy somehow gets away because you don't use that RP, you kind of
no.
feel like an idiot. So you might as
Yeah.
well, better safe than sorry. But now Moo, he's going to get jumped in on, but the damage isn't really here right now. That felt too ambitious on their part. Moo turns around, gets the kill onto Devi, and now Yuma's got to take the long path home. That one, I mean, you can't do that. Moo's going to pop that Flesh Golem, and you really can't burn through him.
No, I mean, it was good discipline from the Hustlers to like immediately recognize how bad that fight was going and back off when they saw the tombstone go down, and it was just like Tide hitting it. But yeah, I do think that he's getting to the point now where he's so strong that he can just like hang out in the mid lane here and just he knows there's like 4 heroes standing on the side of the river and he doesn't care.
Ooh, man, these birds are substantially tankier. That was the one change that the hero did actually receive, but I don't know. We'll have to see if this Silence the Grave is actually going to allow him to set up, because I don't. I feel like on both sides there are so few targets that you actually want to start on. I think a lot of this game is actually going to be forcing out the Flesh Golem from Moo, and then D2 Hustler's looking for a re-engage after he's used his long cooldowns, because that is a really easy fight if he doesn't have those spells up.
Yeah, I do agree. It's like their team fight besides Haunt, but like we kind of discussed earlier, unless Envy's like 6 slotted, I don't think Haunt's actually that big of a threat, especially with the item build he's going. I mean, he's got like 1 or 2 more items at least before he's really putting out damage with that.
Yeah, it's where the Ags is also like, again, you need somebody to set up for you on the side lanes to make the investment really worthwhile. Because when you see this buildup, you are shadow stepping constantly, trying to get aggressive plays on the map. But your setup is, again, just Gunner on the Visage. If he's
Yeah.
not finding kills, you're not really finding kills either.
Yuma
Well,
caught
nice viewer.
Husky. Forstaff gets him back onto the high ground, but he's not out of trouble. Devi rolls forward for the stun, and they should get the kill. Now, they got the silence on the move. Mr. Jean zipped in, the Ravage coming out as well, just as Envy joined that fight. He's sort of wandering his way in on foot.
Oh, Husky, good play.
Okay, very nicely done. Cancels the blink, but they're still pushing in. They want Envy. They get him with the skewer. He's going to try and haunt his way away, but everyone is here, so he's only jumping in between the other heroes in the fight, but it is buying him some time, but now he jumps onto Mr. Jeans directly into the silence on the pole, and Yuma will take him down. So Envy, give him credit. He danced around for quite a lot with those illusions, but again, the only people he could jump to were all the ones directly in front of him.
Oh man, it's just a lack of damage. Like they blew up the Enchantress and they blew up the Undying, and honestly, those are the two highest threats on the map right now. Like if Enchantress is auto attacking, you know, she can actually maybe kill this Tide or this Mag. But if they don't have that damage, they're super hard to take down, and then they kill the Tombstone before he drops it, and it's like now all of a sudden Zoomers don't even fight. So yeah, it was surprising that he managed to survive that long, but I mean, if they get those types of picks, which shouldn't be that hard with the Storm, these fights are just going to keep looking harder and harder, and I don't think their damage is going to go up compared to the like survivability scaling of the Hustlers.
I don't know what move goes for either. Do you get the BKB and you just have to kind of deal with it, or do you go for something else? That was a nice cancel from Gunner on the Devi.
Very good, but
Even better.
Rolling that impetus though.
Oh, damn it, though.
Wow.
Yeah, that's not when it feels good. I mean, I think you could consider that he has this blink and he's going for the shard, so he's just trying to like go in and hit people. But I do think that that's going to be hard for him. Like he's actually just going to get comboed to death, like by this Storm.
He's so susceptible to the Orchid, so I feel like he has to go for an item like that. But then you're also playing versus Ravage and RP, so it's like there's no good item for him in this game, honestly.
Well, they're hitting up Udomi mid, so that should be a relatively straightforward kill for them. Envy just haunted in for it as well, although Husky does take it. Now Yuma
Getting a little carried away.
tried for it, didn't quite get it, but four Zoomers find the pickoff at least, but
They've almost
pickoff's
got her
there.
now though. Maybe they're like feeling a little. Oh wait, the sneaky bird.
Oh. Okay. Yuma does have a BKB, but yeah, okay, he'll rather just pull back. That's probably the smarter move. Reset and look for that big blink RP to really break this one open. But as you guys were saying earlier, for four Zoomers, damage-wise, what are they really looking at? Because Gunner's working towards a BKB. That's great, but it's not damage. And now there's the jump in. The RP's going to be there into the zip and the silence. And, well, BKB not going to be finished anytime soon with that death. Now Z-Freak is going to try to TP away, but the Vortex will cancel. And Mr. Jeans will find the kill. And four Zoomers just have to clear out with everyone they have left as everybody TPs away. That leaves the Roche pit pretty much free.
To the Roche.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a little bit strange because you know that you don't have Tombstone, right? Your opponents know you don't have Tombstone, so then showing on the mid wave is definitely a little bit scary for Gunner. And until he has that BKB, he is going to be the main target. I think his birds aren't necessarily getting cleaned up, so he still has some effect out on the map, but that's also where four Zoomers, aside from the Soul Rip and maybe the slight heal from the Enchantress, you don't have any save built into you. You have to itemize to get yourself out of there, and that's where Mu has been very susceptible still to a lot of these spells. And going for the shard as well, I understand that it makes you less cooldown reliant because it puts Flesh Golem on that 95-second CD instead, but you usually see him go for this build with the Echo Saber and on Monster, but
is this really doable? They're going for it, but Udomi's
It's pretty
here.
hard.
he's very slow though.
Solar Crest is like why he's alive right now.
And there's the Ravage. Mr. Jean zips in. The roll from Devi is going to get him in for the Magnetize, and they're just going to get blown up. It was not doable in the end, and Envy's going to fall. They take him down. They're onto Husky as well. Yuma's now going to push forward, trying to clean up some further kills as he gets the skewer back onto Z-Freak. And at this point, Gunner, just cut your losses and try to get away with the roll from Devi. If he hits, that would have been big, but not able to make the connection. Yuma's looking. Blink's
It's
coming
still
back up.
back
Shockwave's there. Zips in. Yeah. All right. Gunner unable to get out. That's a full 5-man. A couple of tips going his way afterwards as well. And well, D2 Hustlers in a position to really just kind of take control right now.
Yeah, I mean that Aegis is just so terrifying, right? Like fighting against a Storm with that, you just can't be doing stuff like that. And And like, I don't know, you're jumping a Tide who's sitting in mid lane. I can count on my hand like one hand the number of times that has been successful in Dota's history. So it's, you know, it can work, but you've got to have a really clear plan on how to kill him or like how to bait the fight out. And I think that they just like went, right. It didn't seem like a thought out play. So they went for it, but it wasn't well planned and backfired. And now it's like, this is just where the game gets almost too hard, right? Hustle's heroes all scale harder. They shove lanes hard. They all like can't really be ganked. Like you could literally group up with 5 heroes on Zoomers and pick off, like try to pick off this Storm or this Mag or this Tide, or even this any of the heroes, right? Or their Spirit or the Abaddon. You probably won't kill any of them as long as they're close to their teammates.
Yeah, Agson, literally 1 gold. He's going to have it now. He's even TPing back because he knows his timing. And that might mean that Monster goes down here.
Yeah, this time...
Oh, but he connects with Yudomi.
Oh boy,
He's so tanky.
The shields, the heals, they do stun him up with the birds though, but there's Yuma with the RP!
Whoa, okay.
That's it. It's done. Oh,
you just give up after that. That's so demoralizing. Yuma's just like patting himself on the back so hard right now, and I just can't deal with it.
5-man RP into
This is what these. This is literally why he plays this hero. This is all he wants. He wants to show off. He's like, look at me go, and he just waits and he's baiting his teammate. He's like, don't worry guys, this is good. And then he's just waiting for that 5-man RP. You know he's waiting for all of them.
Oh, it's just one. It's just Rex now. They already used Glyph. Their respawn timers are so low that it doesn't feel like it should be.
They shouldn't be able to end off of that, but it's like you've lost the mental battle. It's definitely very hard to come back from that.
I just don't even know what's coming in the pipeline. You see he's gone to BKB queued up on the Undying. He's still working on it on Gunner. They don't have targets. They don't have people that they are actually able to kill in this game. So they have to go for this like split push style. But if you're gonna do that, then why doesn't Envy have a Blade Mail and a Mantis style 27 minutes into this game? It just feels like the way that they've been playing and been forced to play versus D2 Hustlers just hasn't been gelling. I don't know. This game is so hard to talk about now.
It really, and this happens sometimes when you're really trying to think about drafts maybe a little too hard. Like
jump on Envy.
They almost got this skewer. Oh,
they got the silence. They need the damage. That. Envy's dropping. Envy's dead. He turned around as the cookie came in.
He wants to die.
Yeah, somebody
he's trying to die.
Taking him down. Divide though rolls in, kick back onto Husky. And now there's going to be the Ravage. They've caught Moo out, they skewer him out of the base, and there is really just no one to help him. Moo is going to heal himself up with the Rip, so he'll live for a few seconds longer, technically speaking, but he will still die. Husky taken down as well, and at this point, ForZoomer is maybe feeling a little bit desperate. There's a buyback out from Husky, but really, how much can they do here? Sure, the Ravage is down, but your lineup just doesn't really seem to have a lot of cohesion right now, and Gunner has very little HP. Yeah. Z-Freak and Husky both dead.
These are diebacks, so it's pretty much done. And they don't even really have the damage to kill anymore without their spells and stuff. I mean, Abaddon just keeping them sustained. Okay, this is one thing they can do. The fire in the hole, but bait Devi in. Gets a big ult, though.
Okay. Magnetizes down. Here comes Yuma looking for the RP. Connects onto Envy. And if Envy dies here, yeah, okay. I think that's pretty much just the end of the resistance. Gunner is, well, not dead yet himself, but while all this was happening, Yuma just went back and started taking that second lane to Rax. They'll finish it off, and now this just feels like their final desperation attempt. Moo is pushing forward. Gunner's trying to get in with that soul assumption. It's just not really doing enough right now. Maybe they get Monster, but the last 2 times we said this, it turned into a horrible team fight for the ForZoomer side. So I think this time they actually might... Oh my god. No.
What a player. When you can count the stuns on one hand, it's really easy to pull plays like that. He's like, well, they missed the Meteor Hammer, and
there's only one bird. Yeah.
So I'm good. I'm out.
Man.
We'll see all of you somewhere else.
That's pretty significant too, because he's a big kill right now, and like that feels a lot less like. I mean, it already felt horrible, but like it felt like kind of salvaged if you get that kill. It's just kind of the final nail in the coffin, right? It's like, oh, and Tide gets away too. Cool. That's the stuff that you can't really help thinking about.
He's got the Arcane Rune and a full Bloodstone as well. Like, again, doesn't need BKB. He is afraid of absolutely nothing. I don't know. If there's any path forward for ForZoomers, they need to like somehow kill Mr. Jeans like twice and hope that Yudomi is like sleeping on the other side of the map. It's like That's the only way.
And
They need
he's
to
really
somehow
tanky,
do
right?
it.
Because he did skip that BKB, so he just has Ags and
He's
Bloodstone.
just got raw HP, so
Yeah.
that's not even a guaranteed kill from them because they don't have very much
I
control.
don't think
I
they
don't
can get
know.
through that much unless their whole team's hitting him. There's no way they're killing him with their current stuns.
Okay, Divide. I mean, he just got BKB on Courier. Well,
BKB into Magnetize, and this is going to start to fall apart pretty quickly. Z-Freak gets taken down, and now they're zipping their
break.
way. They want directly onto that Spectre, and they've got him. Envy is dead, no buyback available. And now the Ravage comes into play, hitting up everybody who's left. Gunner locked down, move finished off, and they can't do this. I mean, they're going to try to fight to the end, but it's just Husky alive right now, and there is...
Yodomi battling the zombies.
Oh,
Survive!
oh.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's... I mean, it's really good of Zoomers Lives to keep it going. It's the elimination match, so you don't want to like give up, but it's looking like insurmountable at this point, basically, right?
yeah, they just call it. Yeah, they know.
Well, I mean, yeah, good on them for giving it that one or two more attempts at the end, but at the end of the day, it just was not happening. So we were wondering what's up with this draft, with this Visage pick, and whatever Zoomers had in mind, it doesn't really work out.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things, you play a really long game, you go into game 3, and then your opponents, they stick to their guns and they pick their comfort heroes, and you go for the swap up. You tried to, I don't know, change, I think, a few too many things, and what was going for you in the previous game got banned out. I think D2 Hustlers just adapted too well, and Zoomers definitely tried something interesting, but it definitely kind of fell flat on its face, unfortunately.
I do think it's a lot of just giving them too much comfort. Like, you know, Yuma, Mr. Jeans, like Monster even, like they're getting like all these heroes that they've been playing in the tournament and also that they're just really comfortable on in general anyways. And like there's clear synergy in their draft in all sorts of different ways, and they cover all the bases that you need to cover really. And then Zoomers went for this draft that I perceive as like a kind of push draft, but they're also simultaneously like when they get that Spectre and went to Ags build like you're talking about, they don't have the damage to kill anyone, even if he goes over to the other side of the map. And they're also, the Hustlers were playing together most of the time. Like if anyone was a split, it was a Mag or a Storm. Like there's literally no way you're killing those heroes between Skier, especially once you get the blink on Mag. So yeah, I think that it was just like that. They couldn't pressure them. And if you can't pressure them in some kind of way like that, you can't push the towers or you can't find those pickoffs, and your lineup doesn't scale, those are like the only 3 things you can do to win, right? Either need to push the game out late or find the kills and like apply pressure, and they couldn't do any of that because they had to run over the lanes and run over the game. And I think that that's always not a good thing to have to rely on in Dota, especially right now.
Yeah, just an example of, you know, we drafted a lineup that's going to work really, really well if our opponents are playing this particular way. And D2 Hustlers immediately say, we're not playing that way, this is how we're playing instead. And Zoomers' response is, well, damn, now what do we do? And the response really wasn't great. We said over and over again, nobody took the plunge. I know it would have been unfortunate to sort of have to change things up on the fly like that, but someone needed to do more damage, and nobody really built for it.
Yeah,
I don't even know if they could have.
Yeah.
True.
Like what? You have to get again, you have to go for the Orchid where you're playing versus Abaddon. I think Envy just needed to give up on the strat. I honestly think so. But again, go back to the draft. You open with Enchantress Snapfire, and I think that's something that a lot of teams aren't really pulling out because there are a lot of better heroes in the pool at that stage. I think it's neat that they're trying out a lot of these interesting duos, but again, it's the lack of synergy in their draft where it feels like they have a bunch of really split heroes. It just didn't feel concise or like they could really play off each other. Like, imagine if you had a Nyx Assassin in this game. Imagine if you just simply pick a different hero for Z-Freak. I feel like even though they have what should be the better pick, they've got second pick on Four Zoomers. It never felt like they were ever in the driver's seat coming out of the draft. It always felt like they were more reactive to D2 Hustlers, and D2 Hustlers didn't ever really get counterpicked either. I feel like they just had a bulletproof lineup.
It's always a good day when you can just come in and do the same thing you've been doing and still win.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
what you want to be doing as a Dota player. Like, hey, we showed up, we played our heroes, we won. So it's like Zoomers tried to experiment, but I think that theoretically, like they're just as good, if not better players. Like they could just play their thing and make Hustlers deal with it. That's kind of what the meta develops, right? Like which team is better at executing their thing, and they're like, okay, well, we got to figure out how to beat that now. So I do think that like they probably have some more solid stuff that they're more comfortable on that they could have pulled out for the final, like, you know, best of 3 whatever elimination match. And I think that, like, especially like you said, the drafting, like picking both your, I mean, there is some flexibility with, you know, those heroes of picking like both your supports in the first 2 just almost never feels good in Dota. I can't remember like that when that was ever meta, right? And like, where's that something like, oh, these heroes are so strong, we want these ones. So yeah, I do think that that was probably a little like the most critical mistake in the draft. 100% agree, and that they just need to like try to find some better synergies, not necessarily like for their whole draft, but for individual like combinations across the map, right? Like this draft is lacking so much like interconnectivity. Besides, like we can have a bunch of stuff to push lanes and drop our tombstone. If we don't do that, what do we do? Oh, we
Yeah.
never thought we'd get this far.
Well, that's like
Yeah.
the one time that Four Zoomers win a fight is where D2 Hustlers mess up with 2 really important spells and Moo gets a 4-man decay off. Like, aside from that, there was never a one team fight from Four Zoomers. Sure, you were maybe picking up Devi every once in a while, but everyone else was just like insane. I don't know. It just wasn't a good strategy, I think. It's unfortunate that they pulled it out in elimination. You know, there might have been a better time for this, but, you know, that's Four Zoomers for you.
Yeah, now very strange time, to be perfectly honest, for them to do it, as you said. But yeah, that's kind of part of their style, so to speak. It doesn't really work to their advantage this time, though, but it's one of the reasons why the team is sort of so exciting to watch. But now, I do believe we are trying to set up for an interview. I don't think we're ready just
Oh, this is going to be
yet,
good. This is going to be good.
we are going to be getting that underway. Before we do so, however, that gives me a chance to get in here and give everyone's favorite part of the day, the ad read. So we'll take a moment to do that while we wait for that interview to be set up. So, well, here we go. Thank you to our sponsor, N1Bet. You can deposit with digital wallets and crypto and bet on Pro Series 8 matches with N1Bet. You can also go to bts.gg/N1Bet and use the code BTSDota to get yourself an exclusive bonus without making any wagers. So thank you to N1Bet for sponsoring Pro Series 8. And I do believe we have our interview ready. So we've got Monster of D2 Hustlers here to talk with us. Let me pull him on in here and we can have a word with him. All right, Monster, hello. Can you hear us?
I think he's playing with us.
That sounds like a no. There we go.
I bet.
You're good.
Uh,
I have to ask first before anything else. Are Yuma and Devi Lama dodging this interview so they didn't have to talk to me? I need to know for my ego.
They told me it's a NA team, and I'm the only NA player.
I noticed
so
that when I was
Oh,
looking
I was
today.
like,
Who
okay,
was on
then
the
I guess-
roster? Like, how's that work?
Oh, what? That's like the perfect. That's the only excuse, actually. Wow, they really just logic dove you there. Holy cow!
Yeah, I told Yuma he'll get the next one then, since they sent me off. So it's fun.
well, we won't keep you too long. You know, maybe not the most fun thing in the world to come talk to us. Appreciate you doing it anyway, but just want to ask you, I guess, kind of the softball question right now. You had that unbelievably long match in Game 2. In the Game 3 draft, it looked like you really just picked sort of back to basic comfort sort of stuff compared to Four Zoomers who went maybe a little bit less conventional, let's say. Was that just your game plan? Okay, third game, just came off a long one, let's just pick what we know.
I'm not sure if that was the plan or like maybe after a long game everyone defaults to their comfort heroes, things that we probably have played a few times in the series or at least in BTS. So I don't think it was the plan, but it ended up that way and it worked out. So I guess not too bad, right?
No, you
Not
guys
too
played
bad.
fantastic.
Yeah,
I was
mean-
gonna say that was really impressive.
Mr. Jeans.
I mean, I
MVP.
think you all had your moments in the series, right? I think that you definitely had some, big ravages, especially in like the first Headhunter game, and I
Mhm,
mean
mhm.
the RP from Yuma. I mean, there was a couple, whiff plays, but everyone has those. But like, that monster RP and stuff, you guys definitely took clean fights when they were given to you. And I think the only thing like you ran into during that game was, how do we end against this TBE who's just defending all the time? It's just not fun to play those games sometimes.
Oh yeah, from game 2, my god.
Yeah, usually you're like, get me out. So I understand those ones, but you guys did great.
Envy's just the master of late game, I guess. Can't win
I was
half-hour
saying
games against him.
when we were talking about that game, we're like, maybe you guys are gonna try and just siege the base and end the game by like 40 minutes because you don't want to enter EE's domain.
Guess we just never got it to that point. That game was so long, I forgot we even played that game. It was so long, it felt like a BO5 series. Well,
Any other questions?
I mean, I'm just like I'm amazed. I don't know. It's so simple, but you definitely had your moments. I guess going back to game one a little bit, what do you think when it comes to that Slark pickup, right? Because usually you guys are first phasing Mr. Gene's hero usually because it just feels good to get him on something that he is so confident with. Is Mr. Gene's the one himself that's like, just send it? I'm Slark this game. It's so easy for him. Is he the one who's like blows the whistle on the play, or is it kind of directed by you guys where everyone's like, wait a second, this is the easiest Slark game ever?
to be honest, we didn't even know Jeans could play Slark. We all
Oh,
asked him, like, we were like, he just asked for it, and we were like, Jeans, our Discord is half in Spanish and half in English, so
yeah,
sometimes I don't even catch all of it, but it's something like Practicar Slark or something. And then he was like,
I've practiced Slark.
yeah. And
I
he's
think
like,
that
okay, yeah.
he's good at the hero.
And then he asked for it, we gave it to him, and he did pretty well, right?
yeah. I mean, you can't complain. You can't
But
complain with a performance like that.
nobody ever knew he played Slark, and I guess he plays Slark. That's cool. We didn't even know. It's a surprise for us.
Well, pleasant
Anyway.
surprise for sure to get you guys the win in that one. And, well, kind of bookending victories after the marathon of game two, but you were able to pull it out. So congratulations to you. Good luck further. And I am getting sort of whispers in my ear from production, so we are going to be cutting it off. So Monster, thank you so much for coming and talking to us. Appreciate you taking the time, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Mhm.
See ya.
See you guys.
All right. Yeah, so you always got to have the productions in your ear. It's like, hey, man, you're taking too much time. Stop talking.
It was probably me a little bit more. I get too carried away with conversations sometimes.
But yeah, thank you to Monster for stopping by and talking to us, and congratulations to D2 Hustlers. They advance to round 3 now of the lower bracket, and they get to sit back and maybe relax a little bit, especially that duo, Yuma and Divide Llama. They've played now back-to-back series, so they can sit back and wait to see who their opponent will be. They'll play the winner of our next best of 3. That is going to be Hikori versus Team Team, and it is coming up in just about 5 or so minutes here. So we are going to be jumping into a break, and when we return, it'll be that second best of 3 of the day. So stick around, folks. We'll be bringing you that Game 1 draft in just a little bit.